I've always been the dependable one in my friend group. The guy who shows up with jumper cables, who helps you move your couch up 3 flights of stairs, who picks up the tab when someone's card gets declined and pretends it's no big deal. It's not that I make a ton of money, I don't. But I budget, I save, I do the boring adult stuff because I have to. And that's why Jay called me. Jay, been my best friend since college. We were roommates sophomore year, bonded over midnight ramen, shared heartbreaks, and the slow decay of our GPA. He's the kind of guy who can make a bartender laugh while ordering water. The kind of guy who somehow always lands on his feet, no matter how high the fall. But over the years, it started to feel like I was the one propping him up. He'd bounce between jobs: barista, freelance graphic designer, Uber driver, part-time event photographer, always chasing some side hustle or startup idea. Meanwhile, I stuck it out at a mid-sized accounting firm, boring but stable, with a 1-bedroom apartment in the valley and a 6-year-old Corolla that just wouldn't quit. When Jay called me on a Thursday night around 11, I knew something was off. "Dude," he said, voice tight, "you up?" "Yeah, what's going on?" "I'm in kind of a bind." Pause. I didn't say anything, I waited. He exhaled hard through the receiver. "My landlord gave me a 3-day notice. I've got 48 hours to pay rent or I'm out. I need 700. I leaned back on my futon, staring at the ceiling fan. "I thought you picked up that gig with the wedding planners." "I did," he said quickly, "but they're late paying, like really late. I was counting on it." I rubbed my eyes. I didn't have 700 to throw around, but I had it in savings, emergency savings. Jay was an emergency, right? He heard the silence. "I hate asking you, man. You know I wouldn't if I had any other option." "You've asked before." That landed. He was quiet, then soft. "This time's different." I wanted to believe him. I really did. "All right," I said, "I'll transfer it tomorrow." He let out a breath like he'd been holding it for hours. "You're a lifesaver, man. I'll get it back to you in a couple weeks. Promise." I should have said no. The next morning, I went to my bank during lunch, pulled the cash, walked across the street to deposit it into his account. I texted him a screenshot of the confirmation and got a string of emojis and a "you're the realist" folded hands. That was Friday. Saturday, I didn't hear from him. Sunday, nothing either. I figured he was laying low, avoiding the awkward gratitude dance. I gave him space. Monday night, I was watching Netflix when I got a message from our mutual friend Nikki, a link. Instagram post at @jfromlaround pushpin Bali, Indonesia. I stared at it like it was a joke. There he was, Jay, shirtless, grinning, sunglasses perched on his forehead, holding a drink with a slice of pineapple, the Indian Ocean behind him. Working on my tan and my next business idea, palm tree, Bali vibes, digital nomad life. I didn't laugh. I didn't even blink. I just felt cold, like all the blood left my body and went to hide somewhere less naive. I waited until the next morning to text him. "Me saw your IG, thought rent was due." He didn't reply. A few hours later was a last-minute opportunity. "I needed a break, don't worry, I'll pay you back soon." I stared at the message. No apology, no explanation, just this smug shrug of a text like I should be proud of him for making it work. I didn't reply. It took a few days for the anger to really settle in. At first, it was confusion, then disbelief, then this tight, simmering fury that wrapped itself around my chest every time someone brought up trust or friendship or anything that sounded like loyalty. I saw more posts go up. Jay at a waterfall, Jay on a scooter, Jay at a beachfront co-working space, Jay doing yoga with some girl in a bikini, Jay toasting a coconut with a bunch of other grinning backpackers who probably thought he was some carefree entrepreneur with deep pockets and a good heart. I didn't comment, I didn't like, I didn't message. But I kept watching. That was the worst part, I kept watching. 2 weeks later, my landlord dropped a maintenance notice through my mail slot. I was reading it when my phone buzzed. "Venmo, Jay sent you $50. Message, partial repayment, more soon." I stared at it. 50 bucks. Like a tip, like a joke. I wanted to smash something. Instead, I screenshotted it and saved it in a folder I'd titled Jay the Borrower. I didn't respond. My girlfriend Elise noticed I was off. We'd been dating 6 months, long enough for her to see through my "nah, it's all good" face. "What's going on with you?" she asked one night as we were cooking pasta. "You've been quiet for days." I shrugged, stirred the sauce, just work stuff. She didn't buy it, is it, Jay? I paused, then nodded. I told her everything. She was silent for a while, processing. Then, do you want me to say the obvious thing? What's the obvious thing? That he used you. I didn't respond, I didn't need to. She added, you gonna talk to him? Don't know, maybe when he gets back. If he gets back. I hadn't even thought of that. What if he didn't come back? The next morning I called him. Straight to voicemail. Tried again in the afternoon, same thing. Texted, we need to talk, call me. No reply. I checked his IG stories. He'd posted a boomerang of a surfboard and a smoothie bowl. I felt something break in me. Not rage, not even sadness. Just this dry, tired sense of finally seeing someone clearly for the first time. And realizing you never knew them at all. I lent my best friend money for rent, then saw him on a beach in Bali. Round pushpin opening mode, dialogue for. Dude, it's not that deep. That's what he texted when I finally got him to respond. Like I hadn't just spent 2 weeks wondering if I was the idiot or the asshole or both. Part 2, not that deep. After a full week of silence, Jay replied at 2 a.m. on a Thursday, just that one line. Dude, it's not that deep. No acknowledgement, no apology, no money. I was lying in bed when the text came through, blue light slicing through the dark. Elise was sleeping next to me, breathing soft and even. I stared at the screen for a long time, thumb hovering, trying to decide if it was even worth engaging anymore. I typed, you said you needed it for rent. He left it on read for 6 hours. At work the next morning, I was no good to anyone. Numbers blurred. My coffee tasted like cardboard. My supervisor, Maggie, asked me twice if everything was okay. I lied both times. When Jay finally responded, it was a voice message. Bro, look, yeah, I said it was for rent, and yeah, I ended up using it for the flight. But it's not like I planned to screw you over, it just kinda happened. Bali was this last-minute deal. A friend found a crazy cheap ticket, like $250 round trip. And I thought, why not? You know, I needed a reset. I was burning out. I swear I'll pay you back soon. Chill, man. I listened to it twice. Then a third time. Each time I felt my jaw clench tighter. A reset, that's what my savings were to him. A fucking spa day. I didn't respond. I didn't even want to waste the energy. Elise found me scrolling through Jay's Instagram that night. You're torturing yourself, she said. I know. Block him. I can't, not yet. She didn't push, just sat next to me and handed me a bowl of popcorn. We watched a movie I didn't remember the name of. But even with the sound on, I kept hearing his voice. It's not that deep. A week later, another Venmo came through. $25. Message, appreciate your patience, folded hands. He'd paid back $75 of the $700 I gave him. At this rate, he'd be done by Christmas of next year. I wanted to message him, wanted to tell him to keep his damn money, that it wasn't about the dollars anymore, it was about what it said about us. But I didn't. I just stared at the payment and hit the little decline option. Then I blocked him on Venmo. A few days later, Nikki called me. You and Jay fighting? I paused. Did he say something? No, but he's not around, just vanished from the group chat, said something vague about disconnecting from toxic people. I let out a short laugh. I'm the toxic one. I didn't say that, just asking what's going on. So I told her, not just about the money, about the pattern. About all the times I'd spotted him cash for lunch or covered drinks or helped him move out of yet another apartment because the landlord was a dick or the roommate was stealing his food. By the time I finished, Nikki was quiet. Then damn, I didn't realize it was like that. Yeah, me neither, not until now. The funny thing is, when you cut someone off, it doesn't always feel like you're taking a stand. Sometimes it just feels quiet, like a hallway that used to echo with footsteps and now just sits still. I didn't tell him I was done. I just stopped. 2 weeks passed, no contact, no payments, no messages. I thought I was free. Until he came back. I was leaving work late, maybe past 9, walking to my car under one of those orange sodium lights in the parking lot when I heard someone call my name. Danny. I turned and there he was. Jay, tanned, bearded, backpack slung over one shoulder, flip-flops, like the last month had just been a really long Saturday. What the hell are you doing here? He jogged up to me, arms spread like we were about to hug. I stepped back. He froze. Okay, wow, that's the vibe. What do you want, Jay? He looked around like he was trying to remember the script, then he shrugged. I wanted to talk face to face. I didn't say anything. He scratched the back of his neck. Look, man, I know you're mad. I get it. I shouldn't have lied, but things got crazy. Bali it was healing, you know. I needed to get out of here for a bit. You lied, I said. My voice was flat. You told me you needed it for rent. I know. Do you even feel bad about it? He looked like he wanted to say yes, but all that came out was, I didn't think it'd blow up like this. I shook my head. Jay stepped closer. Can we just talk? I'm talking, you're not listening. He blinked. That hit. You stole from me, Jay, that's what it is. Call it what you want. But you took money under false pretenses and then you used it to go drink fruity cocktails on a beach while I ate canned soup for lunch. That's not fair. It's exactly fair. Silence, just the hum of the parking lot lights. Then softer, so what, we're not friends anymore. I don't think we were, man, I think I just didn't want to admit it. He swallowed hard. Can I at least pay you back? I stared at him. Then reached into my bag and pulled out the ATM receipt I'd kept in my wallet, the one from when I withdrew the $700. I handed it to him. Here, it's not that deep, right? And then I walked to my car. Didn't look back. But the thing is, it was that deep. And the worst of it wasn't over yet. Because 3 days later my phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Daniel Foster? Yeah, who's this? This is James Lynn. I'm a junior producer with Channel 9 News. We're doing a local story on peer-to-peer financial fraud. Someone sent us a tip about a guy who's been taking money under false pretenses from friends. We wanted to ask if you knew a Jason Keller. I froze. Because yeah, I knew him. But I had no idea how far it had gone. I lent my best friend money for rent, then saw him on a beach in Bali. Round pushpin opening mode. Time. It was 3:12 p.m. on a Saturday when I found myself packing my tiny kitchen, the receiver of my cell phone still warm against my cheek. The call had ended 10 minutes ago, but I couldn't shake the way the reporter had said it, like Jay's betrayal wasn't just personal, like it was part of a pattern. Part 3: Wires and Receipts. I stood at the sink washing a mug I'd already washed twice. Elise watched me from the living room, legs curled under her, a paperback resting unread in her lap. You okay? She asked. No, I said, but I don't know what to do. That call from Channel 9 rattled something in me I didn't know was still loose. I thought I'd moved past it, the lies, the Instagram posts, the insultingly small repayments. But this wasn't just about me anymore. Jay hadn't just lied to me, he'd lied to others, enough that someone, maybe several someones, had gone to the media. The producer hadn't given me details, just that they were looking into multiple reports of financial deception among acquaintances, and my name had come up through a mutual link. I asked him point blank who gave them my number. He paused. We can't reveal sources, but someone who said they knew you personally mentioned you were involved in a similar situation with Mr. Keller. We're building a piece on peer-to-peer financial exploitation. My head spun. I told him I'd think about it, that I wasn't sure I wanted to go on record. He understood, said they were just collecting stories for now. Even anonymous accounts help build the picture. That phrase stuck with me. Build the picture. Because until that moment, I thought I'd been the whole painting. The next few days felt like detective work. I went back through my texts with Jay, old Venmo records, Instagram posts, screenshot after screenshot, dates, captions, emojis. I started noticing overlaps, trips that didn't line up with what he'd told me, photos tagged in cities I didn't even know he'd visited. A post from last year, Jay in Austin holding a mic at what looked like a startup pitch night. He told me he couldn't make my birthday that week because his uncle had passed away. Another one, Jay in a hot air balloon over Arizona. Same week he'd claimed he was recovering from food poisoning and needed to borrow money for antibiotics. I started building a spreadsheet, I don't know why, maybe to make sense of it, maybe to prove to myself that I hadn't just missed the signs, I'd ignored them. There were 5 different loans over the past 2 years. None paid back in full. I reached out to Nikki. Hey, need to talk, J-related. She called within the hour. I told her everything, the news call, the spreadsheet, the pattern. Her silence was sharp, I could hear her processing. Finally she said, I gave him money too. I didn't say anything, just let the truth sit between us. How much? I asked gently. Not as much as you, 500, said. He was stuck in Vegas. No gas, no food, I wired it. When? Last March. I scrolled through my sheet. Same week he posted from a pool party in Scottsdale. Dickie wasn't the only one. Over the next week I heard from 3 more people, all mutual friends or acquaintances. Maria, $200, said he needed groceries. Trent, $300, said his camera got stolen and he couldn't shoot a gig. Leela, $450, said his account got frozen and he couldn't access rent money. Each story unique, each one urgent, each followed by a silence that stretched for months. And every one of them had gotten a partial repayment, usually weeks later, usually just enough to keep the guilt at bay. Jay was good, real good. He didn't scam strangers, he guilted friends. I texted Elise late one night while she was at her sister. Am I crazy for wanting to go public? She replied fast. No, you're crazy if you don't. So I called the Channel 9 guy back. Gave him everything. My real name, the timeline, the amounts, the receipts. I asked if I could keep my voice off camera, just in case. He said that was fine, they could film me in silhouette, mask my name. But I wanted it out there, not just for me. For everyone else he hadn't hit yet. They ran the segment a week later. Trust broken when friends become con artists. It wasn't some viral exposé, but it aired locally. 7 minutes. Included 3 stories, mine, Nikki's, and another guy named Owen who I didn't know but instantly felt kinship with. He'd given Jay $1,000 after Jay claimed his mom was in the hospital. Jay's voice wasn't in it, but they did reach out for comment. He declined. I thought that would be the end of it. But it was just the beginning. 2 days later, I got a message from a name I didn't recognize. Maya K. She said she'd seen the segment. She was Jay's ex. She had a story. We met at a diner off Sepulveda 2 days after her message. She looked tired, not in the makeup way, in the bones way, like she hadn't slept right in months. I dated him for 6 months, she said, stirring her coffee. He borrowed $2,000 from me, said he needed it for a down payment on a new apartment so he could finally get stable. I never saw it again. I asked why she hadn't gone public. She smiled, but it was bitter. I was embarrassed, ashamed, really. I thought I was smart, careful, but he made me feel like I was the only one who understood him. I nodded. I knew that line. I'd lived that line. Then she pulled out a folder. Receipts. Bank wires, DMs, text screenshots. One of them chilled me to my core. Jay texting Maya at 2 in the morning. My friend Danny helped me out last time, but he's kind of tapped. I need someone I trust. I stared at the screen. He'd used my name as a reference, like I was a testimonial on a scam website. Is that what I am to him? I muttered. A F** seeking Yelp review. Maya didn't laugh. I took it to the producer. They were already planning a follow-up. More victims were coming out, quietly, some anonymously, some brave enough to speak. There was talk, early talk, about possible charges, not for grand larceny or anything big, but for fraud, for deception, for financial coercion. And even if it didn't stick, I didn't care. Because every new voice made the picture clearer. One night after Elise had gone to sleep, I sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at Jay's Instagram one last time. He hadn't posted since the story broke. Comments had been turned off, tags removed. He'd gone quiet. Vanished maybe. Blocked me definitely. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt done. Like I'd finally closed a door I'd been holding open with my foot for too long. But just as I shut my laptop, I heard my phone buzz. Unknown number again. This time it wasn't a reporter. It was him. And the message chilled me. Hope you're happy, you just ruined my life. I lent my best friend money for rent, then saw him on a beach in Bali. Round pushpin opening mode, object metaphor. The message sat on my screen like a used bandage, damp, crumpled, and impossible to ignore. Hope you're happy, you just ruined my life. Jay didn't apologize, he didn't even ask why, he just threw the guilt in my lap like it was a gift. Part 4. The message. I didn't respond. Not at first, not for a while. I stared at it for hours, let it hang in the corner of my screen like a mosquito I refused to swat, buzzing in and out of my attention while I tried to go about my life. I knew what he wanted. He wanted me to feel responsible for his silence, for the lost friendships, for the bridge he'd burned and was now pretending I'd set on fire. But I didn't flinch, because I'd finally started to understand the trick. Jay didn't need friends. He needed cover. The local fallout started small. A few friends reached out, some cautiously, some boldly. Hey man, I saw the piece, is it really true? He got me too, I just never said anything. God, I feel so dumb, I gave him rides everywhere for months, he always said he couldn't afford gas. One of them, Marcos, a guy I used to play pickup basketball with, said Jay crashed on his couch for 5 weeks last year, claimed he was waiting for a lease to go through, said the paperwork fell through the day rent was due and Jay had to dip. He never heard from him again. Should have known, Marcos said. Guy left a half-eaten rotisserie chicken in my fridge and ghosted. I never went back to Jay's message. I archived it. But I didn't block him. I wanted to see what came next. And I didn't have to wait long. A week later, he posted a long, rambling video to a fresh Instagram account. New handle, private profile, but someone sent it to me within the hour. It was 7 minutes long. Shot in a dim, echoey room, Jay sitting cross-legged on the floor, unshaven, the same gray hoodie he used to wear in college hanging loose on his frame. He started with a sigh. This is not a video I ever thought I'd have to make. That was his opener. Like he was some YouTuber doing damage control for a leaked collab. He rambled about betrayal, about people twisting the truth, about how he'd never meant to hurt anyone and how he'd just been trying to survive in a system stacked against dreamers. At one point he said, I don't scam people, I lean on them like anyone would. He actually said that out loud into a camera. By minute 6 he was crying, tears trailing down his cheeks. It's just hard when everyone gives up on you at once, when your own people turn you into a villain. He didn't name me, but he didn't need to. The video got maybe 300 views, a few dozen likes, some comments from strangers, a few with usernames I recognized from old friends lists. Stay strong, bro. People don't understand the grind. Healing is messy. I didn't engage. Didn't comment. Didn't need to. Because the story had already moved beyond him. I was back at work finishing up quarterlies when Maggie from HR pulled me aside. Got a minute, she asked. Sure, I said, standing up from my cubicle. We walked into a small conference room, neutral beige walls, that humming overhead light that made everything feel too bright. She folded her hands, nothing bad, I just wanted to let you know someone reached out asking about you. My pulse spiked. What kind of someone? A guy named Jay Keller said he was a former colleague or friend, wanted to confirm your employment. Said you were working on a business proposal together and he needed verification for a grant application. I blinked. He what? She frowned. We didn't give him anything, obviously, company policy, but I figured you'd want to know. I laughed. It came out dry and flat. Yeah, I do. Jay hadn't just gone radio silent. He was poking around, trying to use my name again for leverage. I walked out of that meeting with a ball of cold steel forming in my gut. This wasn't over. Jay wasn't done. I'd tried to be quiet, reasonable. I'd aired the truth without malice. I didn't try to ruin his life, just hold him accountable. But he didn't want accountability. He wanted access. Elise and I talked that night. We were sitting on the couch, lights low, some mindless show playing in the background. She'd just finished her tea. I hadn't touched mine. She saw my face. What happened? He tried to verify my employment, told HR we were working on a grant together. She sat up straighter. You're kidding. I wish. She watched me for a second, then said carefully, Danny, maybe it's time to think about legal action. I shook my head. What would I even sue for? Emotional damages, misplaced trust. He's using your name, that's fraud. He's still trying to climb on your back to get ahead. I didn't answer, but something inside me was shifting. The next day, I filed a police report. It wasn't dramatic, no court summons, no handcuffs. Just paperwork, screenshots, statements. I told them everything. The cash transfer under false pretenses, the HR call, the news segment, the messages, the video. The officer at the desk took it all down patiently. He didn't promise much, but he logged it. Enough people like you come in, he said, it starts to matter. That's all I wanted. For it to matter. A week passed. Then another. Jay didn't post again. Didn't text. Didn't show up at work. His Instagram disappeared entirely, email bounced, even mutuals stopped hearing from him. He was gone. Not in the dead way, not even in the moved away way. Just vanished. Like a salesman who'd already worked the neighborhood dry. Then one afternoon I got a letter. A real one. Mailed to my apartment. No return address, just my name written in the familiar half-print, half-cursive scrawl I'd seen on post-it notes and takeout receipts for over a decade. Inside, a single sheet of paper. Scrawled, not typed. I never thought you'd be the one to ruin me, but maybe you always wanted to. No signature. No apology. Just blame. Like always. Elise read it and didn't say anything for a long time. Then she asked, how do you feel? I stared at the letter, then folded it carefully, slid it back into the envelope, and tucked it in the back of my kitchen drawer, next to the receipt from the ATM. I feel, I said slowly, like I finally don't owe him anything anymore. But I was wrong. Because a month later, Jay resurfaced. And this time, he wasn't just using my name. He was using my face. I lent my best friend money for rent, then saw him on a beach in Bali. Round pushpin opening mode, soundlid freeze. The email notification dinged 3 times in a row, rapid, sharp, almost smug. I was halfway through reheating leftover curry when I checked it. Subject line. Danny Foster, new message regarding your coaching profile. I didn't have a coaching profile. Part 5 of the face scam. The message was from a site I'd never heard of, Mentor Connect Plus. Supposedly, I was listed as a remote business coach for digital creatives navigating startup launch hurdles. I blinked, then clicked. My photo, an old one from LinkedIn. A short bio that sounded like someone copy-pasted my actual resume and sprinkled in Jay's brand of self-help word salad. Passionate about lifting others through strategic mindset recalibration, whatever the hell that meant. A fake contact email, a Calendly link, testimonials. Testimonials. And the worst part, they were real quotes pulled from my coworkers' public LinkedIn endorsements. I felt like I'd been mugged in daylight. Elise leaned over my shoulder. Is this you? No, I said flatly, but it's using everything that is me. She sat down slowly. You think it's him? I know it is. I reported the page. The platform responded within 2 days, apologized, took it down, but that wasn't the end. Because I wasn't the only one. I reached out to Nikki. Same thing. A fake wellness coach listing under her name on a different site. Then Marcos, then Leela. All the people Jay had scammed, he'd turned us into avatars, fake mentors, fake guides, selling fake hope to real people. And behind every profile, an affiliate code. A digital wallet. An IP address pointing to Bali. I gathered everything. Screenshots, email headers, takedown confirmations, cross-reference timestamps. I even reached out to a tech-savvy friend of mine, Colin, who worked in cybersecurity. He traced the hosting for one of the email aliases back to a privacy-shielded server, but one slip-up, one DNS entry left half exposed, showed a temporary redirect linked to a Gmail account I knew too well. jkeller777@gmail. He wasn't just disappearing. He was rebranding. Wearing our lives like costumes. I didn't go to the police this time. I went to the journalist. James Lynn, the Channel 9 guy. He remembered me right away. When I told him everything, he was quiet for a while, then said, "This is bigger than a personal story now." I nodded. Yeah, it's systemic now. He's not just borrowing, he's building scams off stolen identities. They ran the second piece 3 weeks later. Digital grift, when your face becomes the product. This time they didn't mask my name. Or my voice. I showed them everything. They showed everyone. Jay didn't respond publicly, but someone tried to log into my email account 2 nights after the story aired. Then my bank flagged a strange login attempt. Then Elise's Instagram got a password reset request she never made. It was all traceable, nothing dangerous. But it was loud. Like fists pounding on the outside of a locked door. Like a man screaming, "Let me back in." I changed every password I had. Locked down every account. Froze my credit. Elise helped me delete a dozen old profiles from sites I didn't remember signing up for. We laughed at one, a 2014 dating app that had my photo next to accountant by day, grillmaster by night. The laughter helped, so did the quiet. So did the absence of Jay in my daily life. Because by now, not hearing from him was the real healing. 6 months passed. The news story fizzled. Jay disappeared again. Maybe permanently this time, maybe just underground. We'll never know. There was never a court date. Never a settlement. No dramatic gotcha moment with cops kicking down a door. But one by one the accounts stopped. The emails dried up. The avatars vanished. And my life returned to mine. The $700. I never got it back. Not the full amount anyway. Just that lousy $75 spread out over guilt and emojis. But I kept the ATM receipt. I keep it still. Not as proof of what I lost, but of what I stopped giving. Last week I got a message from someone I didn't know. Subject line: "I think I almost got scammed by your friend." She found my name from the news piece. Said she'd been in a Telegram group for remote workers, met a guy named JF who offered free mentorship. Said he claimed to be friends with a guy named Danny Foster, an accountant who helped him rebuild his life. "He talked about you like you were a hero," she wrote. Like the one person who never gave up on him. I smiled at my screen. Then replied, "He's not lying, I didn't give up on him, I gave up for him, there's a difference." I used to tell myself I was the dependable one. The guy who always came through. The guy you could call at 2 a.m. for bail or rent or a ride or a couch. Now, I'm just a guy with boundaries. A guy who knows the difference between generosity and being groomed. A guy who lets people face the silence they created, without reaching in to fill it. If this story moved you, subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.